War Eagle, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Auburn Family discussion and news here on E2C Network Live. I appreciate you joining me today, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We always appreciate you being here and taking the time to consume some of the content that we're putting out there for you all across the Auburn spectrum. Obviously, always heavy on the sports side of things, but can be about anything and everything Auburn. But lately, we've been talking a lot about Auburn football, some news that keeps breaking and everything in between. So that's what we're going to be talking about mainly here today on this video. Initial thoughts, reactions to the hiring of offensive coordinator Mike Bobo and defensive coordinator Derek Mason. A lot of people thought it would happen. Some people didn't. But here it is. Those two together with Brian Harsin. We're going to talk about that coming up here just a few minutes as we kind of get rolling here and welcome everybody in. I do want to always remind that we are broadcasting live, and as a live show, I hope that you'll interact, say War Eagle, post questions and comments as we go along. Definitely want to hear from you tonight. In case you don't know me, my name is Kyle. I am the owner and editor for the E2C Network, which is a family of podcasts that cover Auburn topics, mainly sports stuff, but we cover anything and everything in between. And then just a couple things that if you want to go check out some of the things that we have available for you out there, you can go to this link here that I'm putting in YouTube right now. That is I said I was going to put it in YouTube. That is our main location for our Apple podcast link there. But if you can find it on any podcast app out there, hope you go download and check that out. We just posted our review of the basketball game last night there as well. We'll have a brand new edition of Auburn Roots out tomorrow. Somebody's telling their Auburn stories. And if you're a fan on Twitter, don't want to miss this guy because he's a great Auburn family member, and you're probably familiar with him on Twitter as well. And the only other thing that I always like to remind you of, if you'd like to help produce and support the content that we're putting out here, you can go to our Patreon campaign called the E2C Network Booster Club, where you can sign up as little for $1 a month and help us produce the content here and get yourself some perks along the way. You can even be featured in Auburn Roots as well. All right, so that's the initial stuff there. Again, I always want to remind the Twitter folks that the YouTube option is the best option for audio and everything like that, and interacting with comments because they stay here. The Twitter ones come up very fast. I will try my best to stay on top of y'all's as well while managing this one over here too. As you're coming in, please do make sure you smash the like button, the retweet button over there. Share it out with a friend. It's always more fun when we have a lot of people in here interacting. So I've been away for a couple days, right? It's been a little busy. I'll address that in a little bit, but I know that some of you are anxious to get into some of the discussion and comments tonight, so we'll come back to that in just a second. Stereotypical Auburn fans in the house. He is giving out grades. He says Derek Mason A, Mike Bobo B-. It's kind of a common theme that I keep hearing here. Mike's not even worried about the coaches, offensive coordinators at this point. His two questions are, can we keep Caddy? Can we keep T-Will? I don't know, sir. I'll talk about that a little bit here. Brando's in the house. War Eagle. If so, at least one out of the two, I'm happy as can be. I agree. I would definitely like to keep as many of those as possible, but I don't know that that's going to happen. Orel, you were right. I think you were one of the people that said that Derek Mason would be a good option, so you were right on the money there, sir. Let's see. Spooky says War Eagle saw an interview with Harsin. He's excited, turned down offers from other places, and he's putting together staff that can get a hold of him, and wants to be at Auburn. Was waiting for the stream. Josh, I know I saw your post a little bit earlier today, on a comment on the last video, wondering where I was going to be at. I'll address that in a little bit here. Nothing big, just kind of help y'all understand why the streams sometimes occur daily, sometimes they don't. It's called life, but we'll talk about that in a little bit here. Spooky wants Caddy to stay. I like Derek Mason, Aaron says, but I'm not sure about Bobo. What's your opinion? From what I've heard, T-Will is not off the table. I'm trying to just get through most of these comments, and then we'll kind of break some stuff down here. Well, we can't play basketball. We're probably not going to have time to break down much of anything else outside this tonight because I do not intend for this to be a long stream tonight, but and maybe do a little bit more in-depth one tomorrow late morning. But this is really just initial thoughts and reaction. We can talk about some other things there. But yes, Sam, I agree. I'm frustrated with the 0-3 start. Maybe, I don't know if you've listened to the podcast, but we talked a little bit about that tonight. Imani says, I don't like the Mike Bobo hire. Okay, so how about this? Let's all convene here right now, because there's a lot of different angles, a lot of different questions and comments that people have already asked. I want your grade on Mike Bobo and Derek Mason. So A to F. A, obviously excellent. F is I hate it. Worst thing ever. What is your grade on each of those hires? Let me know now in the comments. War Eagle for Life says, do you think Caddy and T Will stays on staff? It's always funny to see how like our thinking shifts in just a matter of minutes when news comes out. I'll address that though. War Eagle for Life says A and B. I'm assuming A for Mason, B for Bobo. I want to hear from someone out there who thinks Bobo's higher than a B or is more excited about Bobo than they are Derek Mason. I don't know that I'm going to hear that, but I might, right? I might. Is Cody Burns still there? Robert, as far as I know, Cody Burns is not going to be, and I never really anticipated him to stay. I had hoped, right? I'm a huge Cody Burns fan. But I didn't see that happening. He was about as instilled in the Gus Malzahn coaching tree as you could be without branching out on your own. So I didn't foresee anybody that was that instilled there as a offensive coordinator planning on staying or being retained. As an Auburn fan, how is Mike Bobo? I'm not understanding that question there, Sam, but we'll come back to it. All right, we got grades rolling in. Let's talk about a few of them. Aaron says A+ for Mason. Bobo, C+. It's going to be funny me saying Bobo so much. Bobo, B. Mason, A. C+ for Bobo, A for Mason, A for Mason, C for Bobo, B+ for Bobo, A for Mason. We've got an A and a C. So at this point, I would say just assume that Mason's the higher grade when I go here in a second. Mason A, C, Bobo with friend is an A-. Of course, I think Mason is a home run. A, B-, C+, A, B. Bobo with Harsin is a great Q. It means great equals great QB. Cody, stereotypical Auburn fan, says Cody Burns is a good person, but unfortunately struggled at developing many of our wide receivers. See, I'm going to disagree with you there, sir. Well, maybe we'll have time to come back to that, but I highly disagree with you on that. That's fine, right? That's the whole point of the show. We can talk about it. T. Will for real. Sniff Get 2? I don't know what that name is. Yeah, we could talk about that. Just hang on a second. Do want to know your thoughts on the Will Friend hire. I meant to say who makes Bo. Okay. All right, so here, how about this? I keep bouncing around. Let's break this down a second. I promise I'll try to come back to some of those other questions and comments on YouTube. If you haven't, please do smash the like button if you are enjoying the content. It does help the stream out. So I think the initial consensus is everybody's pretty happy with Derek Mason, or at least it's okay with Mike Bobo. Where do I sit on that? Personally, I'm kind of like, on both of them. Like, not in a bad. It's not a bad. I just don't. It wasn't something that got me really excited. I mean, Derek Mason probably gets me more excited because he's kind of the rah type of guy. I mean, right? I mean that kind of gets me excited to have that type of guy on your staff. But I don't know. The other big questions, and everybody's already wanting me to move on to: are we keeping T. Will? Are we keeping Cadillac? As far as I know, T. Will is still on the table, and I think maybe it was O'Rell or somebody who said that earlier, that I do think he is still, as of this moment, what I'm being told is that he's still on the table, and I think there was something that happened earlier that kind of shifted that in his favor for him staying. I think there was a Boise State guy who was going to come over with Brian Harsin and potentially be defensive or linebackers, and I think he decided to stay at Boise State, so that may have opened the door to keep T. Will, which would be a big win, I think, for most Auburn fans. If you want to look, we've been saying on this stream that if Coach Harsin wants to have his best shot of uniting the Auburn fan base right now, which it's pretty easy to do, though, but if you really want to get everybody behind, you keep Travis Williams as the linebackers coach. You really want to make a like slam dunk impression, you keep Cadillac Williams too. I don't foresee Cadillac staying as, and look, right, you can see him behind me back here. I'm pointing to it on YouTube. I don't think y'all can see me pointing to it. Oh, there he is, right behind my head on Twitter. I'm a huge Cadillac fan. I want him to stay. I just don't see it happening at this moment. But things can change, right? It looked a little bit there today like T-Will was out. But I just think it's funny that, we were all so focused on who's the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Now we completely shifted the narrative. Oh, let's keep T-Will. Let's keep T-Will. But I agree. I want to keep him as well. Let's see. If Bobo can do what he did in Georgia, I will give him a B+. Well, what did he do in Georgia that makes you like that so much? I'm interested. That's what I want to hear from y'all is reasons. Like, why are you not excited for this person? Why are you excited for this person? Because I've heard a lot of like, I'm excited on social media, but I'm not. And keep in mind, this is just an initial reaction video. I'm kind of processing through all of this. I'll have some time probably tonight to look over a few things and have more information. Somebody's already asked me what I think of the coach friend hire along with Bobo. I don't know a lot about him. And I'm just being honest because I'm not going to just sit here and act like I have an opinion on it when I haven't really researched him as much. Let's see. Bobo should help recruit. It's going to get so weird saying that name. Should help recruiting tremendously in Georgia, and we need this. Harsin will guide the offense. So let's picture it this way here, okay? So what you've established, and this is just me, and again, initial thoughts and reactions, the understood line of thinking is that Coach Harsin is going to be play calling, right? Which means that your offensive coordinator really becomes support at this point and takes over leading other areas of importance, such as recruiting, which most people will not disagree with you on, that Mike Bobo is a great recruiter, right? Considered one of the best in the Southeast. And that was one of people's big questions. Can Coach Harsin recruit in the Southeast? Well, it's just not, you have to be able to at least be competitive recruiting in the Southeast, but you've got to find ways to make headway against Georgia, against Alabama. Sometimes that means you've got to get out of the Southeast and go search some areas. We tried to do that with Texas, and it was all granted one season, though. I can't even remember his name now. He's been gone one day officially as the offensive coordinator, and Chad Morris. I can't even remember him at this point. Wow, we are already at 100 people watching live on YouTube. Thank y'all so much, y'all. By the way, kudos to everybody who watches, obviously, but to y'all on YouTube. Even with me not doing a stream the last 2.5 days, we broke 500, and we pretty much broke 600 by the time we got on here. I'm pretty sure we'll break it by the time I get off the stream, if not shortly after. So you guys are outstanding. Like, I'm shocked that y'all even want to be here personally. It's a humbling experience to see that y'all are responding this way, because I do have information, but at the same time, I'm just kind of reacting and sharing my thoughts with you all. And that means a lot that you're willing to be here and interact with me. All right, enough of the mushy stuff. What I was saying was, the other important piece is that Derek Mason, along with Brian Harsin, kind of creates a pretty nasty combo, and nasty in a good way combo, for recruiting out west. So how do you take the momentum, stability that was lost by firing at this point in time Coach Malzahn and recruiting as well? How do you get that back? Well, you try to stay competitive as you can in the SEC. You hire Mike Bobo. Then you try to make sure that you can go out and compete for commits out west. You hire Derek Mason along with Brian Harsin. It's not a bad decision process, in my opinion. Sniff is really pushing hard for T-Will. Look, this has been the T-Will. I was pushing for T-Will to get promoted to DC. I wanted it. I didn't foresee it happening, but I really, really wanted it. I agree. You're preaching to the choir here, man. We want some T-Will. And I just realized my hair is like sticking up. That's been a crazy week. All right, I am sure we're behind here. Let's keep going. Bo Jackson said Mike Bobo can coach Bo Nix. Wow, what alliteration. Let's see. How the wideouts was not that good. I guess you're asking who was saying that earlier. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that opinion, but if we have time, we can get to it. Del McGee will be an upgrade. Are you talking about at running backs? I don't foresee him coming over for anything other than offensive coordinator, and that's now off the table. But maybe. Bobo runs the ball too much for my liking. I remember the many times where we ran so much that our starting running back was almost injured. So here's the difference, though. Auburn is known as running back U. And if you want to get back to that, you've got to focus on hiring someone that's going to focus on that, right? And the thing that made Georgia so successful is they were able to run a system and recruit two highly touted running backs and keep them there at the same time, right? And they did that on several occasions. So that's how you fight that injury bug where you're running so much. So I think, the more, and I'm actually, as I'm talking about it, I'm thinking through this as well. It probably makes a lot of sense. It get Auburn back to what a lot of people wanted, but it also, it tries to do something a little bit different. If Harsin is the play caller, then that doesn't matter. Yeah, I do think he's going to be the play caller, from what I'm hearing. Bobo was with Matt Stafford and Todd Gurley. Mason had Richard Sherman. That is true as well. So, look, I think when we compare, it's always great to look at who they put in the NFL as, but you're going to find that for every coach. Every coach has somebody they can point to in the NFL. Coach Harsin, I don't know who he was, but had someone they could point to in the NFL. So that alone for me is not someone that, it's a reason to hire them, but there's pretty other reasons. Wade says 100 people live and 5 live. Let's smash the like. I appreciate that. I appreciate you reminding people to smash the like button. It does help it out. Honestly, I'm shocked that we're either at or about to cross 600 at this point subscribers, and maybe we can do that by the end of the month. 1,000. That'd be huge, right? It'd be awesome. Mason has connections all over the West Coast. Ties are going to pay dividends. Watch. I agree, Anthony. You and I are on the same pages there. Just saw Travaris Robinson may be the DB coach. So that's something that's kind of up in the air right now, too. So here's what I'll tell you. My source, it's a funny word, and it's everybody's favorite word, who is 100% right through the head coaching search, has kind of started piping up today with all this stuff. So I knew Derek Mason. And I know it's easy for me to say this now, and I know you can either believe me or not, but I knew Derek Mason and Bobo were the options way before they were announced. And I'm just, it's always funny too, because we have a group of friends who are, they're getting the news about the time everybody else is and sharing it. And I'm just sitting back like, I knew this already. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of speculation that he's been sharing with me about options on the table for other stuff, and there's going to be a lot of that coming out that we're going to be having to react to, process, all the stuff. So that's why I'm mainly focusing on Mason and Bobo at this point, but we could talk a little bit about it, because I agree. I think it would be great to bring T-Rob back. Will he want to come for a downgrade in terms of a lateral move, or would he want to go on? Sniffgrid is still, he's not only pushing T-Will on Twitter, he says T-Rob as well. So Juice says Mason is big for defensive coordinator. Look, for most of you that have been here, you know me. I kind of always try to play both sides of the equation here and talk about both sides of it. And I don't necessarily call it big, but I would call it one of the bigger names out there right now. I mean, we know that Mason was being vied for by LSU, so that's a pretty good sign if a program like LSU is trying to come after him. So that shows you that it's a big hire, but would it be like the best hire you could possibly make at defensive coordinator? I don't know, but I'm not mad about it. That's why my reaction to both of these hires is just kind of like, it's even keeled right now. It's not even I shouldn't have said that. It's just like, okay, I'll work with it. It doesn't make me upset. Some of it maybe doesn't make sense right now, but the more I even talk through it right now, it starts to make a little bit more sense to me, at least. Theodore's here. He says, War Eagle, what's up, man? Wilfriend is official, apparently. So news apparently is breaking. Anybody else confirm that? I know I'm behind in the chat on YouTube, so we'll get through that as soon as we can. Can anybody else confirm that Wilfriend is official? And I'll do some research on him and try to figure out exactly what's going on with that situation. Is that like the passing game coordinator there or the running game coordinator type of situation? As an Arkansas fan, Bobo is a definite upgrade for you guys over Chad Moore. I have not seen, for O-line, there you go. I have not seen so much bitterness towards a coach since Auburn fans the coach smells on. I'm kidding. Since Arkansas to Chad Morris. Y'all, man, and there is some bad blood there for all of you. It's pretty funny. I would think that you think anything is an upgrade over Chad Morris. But, I will maintain that I think that Chad Morris was not given enough time here to see, because he's proven that he can be a good offensive coordinator, and he came into a situation that required more time, but he's not going to get it. And we've moved on. I think we'll be just fine. This is Josh on YouTube. In terms of staff and recruiting, got people so far with good recruiting connections and track records. And you can clearly see that's been the focus with these hires, right? It's not been about their offensive scheme necessarily, although maybe a little bit for Mike. For Mike, his appeal, and nobody will argue with this, is his recruiting prowess. And I think you can say similar for Derek, because it's hard to really judge Derek Mason on his time at Vanderbilt, right? I mean, is anybody seriously going to knock Derek Mason for being the head coach at Vanderbilt, like in terms of like legitimately assessing his performance? Is anybody? I mean, the only person who's relatively been successful at Vanderbilt was James Franklin. Derek, I think he had like a window there where it kind of looked like he had turned it on just a little bit. Not necessarily, though. So I will say that if you are knocking him in any way because of what he did at Vanderbilt, you need to think twice about that. It's Vanderbilt. They don't play football. Okay, that's an interesting name. A significant number of Harson's Boise State recruits came from California and Texas. He persuaded Cali and Texas guys to Boise. He'll be competitive and recruit the whole country. Yeah, I agree. I am excited for potentially what we can pull from the non-traditional Southeast to make up ground with where we are in recruiting right now. And this season and the next as well. It'll be interesting to see how Derek Mason implement his 3-4 defense since when Georgia is a lot of broken sentences there. If I'm not mistaken, it's a 4-3 defense. So you're saying he runs a 3-4 where we traditionally run a 4-3. That'll be quite a change. And I love the 4-3 defense. Or really, we haven't been running 4-3. We've been running what most people would call a 4-2-5 or a 4-2-buck. 4. It's an interesting defense, which I've kind of enjoyed, honestly, because it's a hybrid. And I think it's been, Kevin Steele's track record at Auburn speaks for itself of how successful that's been. Well, we will get to see how well Bo does under center. So in a world, Pop Winter, where people are criticizing Bo for trying to do too much, right? This is probably the best case scenario. Give him a season under center, churning that power game, reestablishing the running game, the offensive line. What happens in a year? I like those odds. Wilfriend makes the Bobo hire an A for me. Hopefully we didn't lose the Twitter. No, there we go. The power thing came up. I didn't realize I didn't put the thing in. How about this? Let me ask this question. It'll take me a while to get to the answers on YouTube. Does the Wilfriend hire increase your likability of the Bobo hire? Yes or no? Just short answer, yes or no. Does Wilfriend being hired along with him increase your likability of the Bobo hire? Kel, what is up, my man? Love the core of this staff. By the way, we talked about Auburn Roots going live tomorrow with another episode 21. Somebody's telling their Auburn story. Kel, I believe it's episode 9, told his Auburn story. You may know him as AU Tiger Blogging on Twitter. He's pretty awesome. You can check it out. Yes, I think it was Sniff Grit that said that on Twitter, answered that question. We need to keep T. Will Cadillac to keep the Auburn blood. Both played on the Plains. Linebacker strong. Look how Cadillac developed Tank in 1 year. I don't. So here's the con. This is why I hate the word develop. You can't really say you can, but you can't make you cannot make a strong case that development happened in 1 year. You need multiple seasons to say something developed. Now you can see something improve or not improve over a season. But it's really hard to make the case, did they develop without more than one season? Personally, that's my opinion. So, and I love Cadillac, and I want to keep Cadillac. So don't get me wrong. I give Cadillac more credit, not for developing Tank, but for getting Tank. That's what he deserves the credit for. Do you think DJ is very underrated, deserves more carries, and can complement Tank nicely? I hate to say this, and I try honestly always to be very cognizant that on our network and our Facebook group. By the way, if you haven't joined our Facebook group, Auburn Family Tree, you can find it there. We've had a lot of people signing up for that lately. Come be a part of the Auburn, our little family within the Auburn family over there. Auburn Family Tree. I think that DJ reminds me a lot of Boobie Whitlow, right? Jatarvius, Boobie Whitlow. Lots of talent. But it doesn't work that well in the system for some reason. Now, that was the old system. Does that change under Mike Bobo? We'll see. So I don't know that I would call it underrated. I would call it meeting expectations right now. Brad Biddell is coming with Harsin as tight end coach. I heard that as well. But here's the assumption that I'm operating off of. Unless, we're assuming that people said that the coach friend hire was official during the stream, if that's true. The only thing that Auburn has confirmed is Pittman for the strength and conditioning coach. Lorando, who was a coach but now is going to be the chief of staff, not necessarily a coach, for Brian Harsin from Boise State. Offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, and defensive coordinator Derek Mason, which are probably four of the more important ones that you want to get. Obviously, you want to put your coordinators in place, your strength and conditioning guy, because he's the one that's going to be involved with the players right away, and your chief of staff to help make other selections. I think we're going to see an Auburn offense this is Brando, says back in 2004 when Al Borges led the way. I don't know that it would necessarily be like that, but it kind of feels that way. I won't say that it doesn't feel like that. Think that T. Will fits the culture Harsin's creating. Don't see why he couldn't be retained. That's up to Coach Harsin, honestly. Josh, I would love for T. Will to be retained, and maybe he's fighting real hard to stay. I hope he is, because I don't know that I want to lose a rising star like T. Will. John says, pretty par for the course here for what everybody else is saying. Happy with the Mason hire, the Bobo hire. We'll see. Yes, Sniff Grit, you have said T. Will already. Kenny is confirming that it is official for the friend hire. Any chance Chris Peterson will come out of retirement and join Harsin's staff? In what capacity? I doubt it. Lots of confirms on officials. Woo, I'm behind. All right. Let's see. Orel says, Bobo at OC, friend at O-line, coach during their 3 years at UGA, averaged 175 yards on the ground per game. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Chris Johnson, he went completely winless in the SEC and called his own team quitters. Good way to burn your bridges in Arkansas or anywhere for that matter when you blame your kids outright. Now, Chris, look, I haven't heard that myself, so for me to say a definitive statement about that would be a little bit premature. I would say my initial reaction to what you've typed here, though, is I don't see anything wrong with calling your players quitters. If they quit, that's what a coach does. Here's what I think's happened a lot with our culture is we've lost toughness, and that's a very broad statement, I know, but sometimes you need to have it laid out there for you. We need to be able to kind of make kids aware, hey man, you need to do better. This is what you are right now. Don't want to be this. Don't want me to call you this. Be better. What's up, Chandler Fullman? He's on Twitter, so now Twitter's just going to be rocking over there. I have a funny Auburn fan called Bert the Barner. That's alliteration right there. Can't judge Mason on his time at Vandy. Whew, I'm so behind here. This is like I hate Chad Morris. All right, I finally got to the answer. So I asked, does it upgrade your opinion of the Mike Bobo hire? We got a yes. Let's see. Orel, yes, no. Yeah, buddy. Bo knows leaving the pocket early. Well, wouldn't you with that pocket? There was no pocket for him. Let's see. Don't think Auburn just got stronger recruiting. South Georgia with Bobo and all over the place with Derek Mason. Tank will be catching a lot more passes in the offense. Could be a very big plus. I would agree. I think we are not going to doubt his prowess as a traditional running back. One area that we could see him utilized a little bit more is in the flats, some wheel routes, things like that. That will probably be a huge, huge plus there. Do you think Rodney's coming back? I just, this has the feel that of a literal purge of the old staff, right? Doesn't it feel that way? It feels that way to me. I did not necessarily want that to happen, but the longer this goes, it doesn't feel that way. If there is going to be Auburn blood in the coaching staff, in essence, an Auburn man coming here, it's going to be somebody coming in like a T-Rob. I'm starting to lose confidence that T. Will and Caddy, especially Caddy, are not going to be there. The elephant in the room is being able to practice. Hopefully it won't mirror. So now E-Money, as always, comes in here and drops truth. Here, and he's like, look, I hear y'all and all this coordinator talk. It's all great. But let's just talk about reality here. And that's why I love E-Money, because he knows what's up. And that is a bigger conversation, which when things slow down, we will really be able to dive into that one, E-Money. I like the way that you think, though, buddy. Nobody said Booby like Rod Bramlett. Yeah, he did. Whew. All right, I think we're almost caught up here. Let's see. Demetrius Davis will be the starter. So, Imani, I can't remember. It's been a while if you're one of the ones I've had to kind of battle on this one. I am so glad that we have Demetrius Davis, and I can't wait for his future at Auburn. But I think a few of you are writing Bo Nix off a little too soon. And and I'm not saying this about Imani necessarily, but just this whole idea is now that Coach Malzahn is gone, Auburn fans always need a scapegoat. Chad Morris is gone. Kevin Steele is gone. Bo Nix is the scapegoat now. Let's stop making scapegoats and just be happy with who we have. Everybody wanted their fresh start. Here it is. Let's move forward with what we have. And I know Demetrius Davis is on the team now, so, he is involved in that. But if you think that Demetrius Davis is going to come in right away and fix the Auburn Tigers, he's not. Could he do some good things? Absolutely. But I'll take a Bo Nix in a new system, even as tough as that's going to be for him, in a system that probably favors some of the areas he struggled in, more than I will a guy like Demetrius Davis who needs some time. Maybe would love to keep T. Will, Andrew says. Maybe have him coach special teams. Hey, look, personally, if we're going to keep T. Will, I would rather him not change position coaches or positional role that he has. That kind of feels to me, unless he wants it, right? If he wants it, sure, why not? Have him be the lead recruiter in terms of like going out there and meeting kids and be the special teams coach. I'm fine with that if it keeps him on staff, but it just wouldn't feel right to me. T. Will deserves to be the linebacker coach. The two T's of the apocalypse, T-Rob and T. Will. Josh says, will Tank be plus or minus 200 1,200 yards rushing the season plus? Easily. Tank would have been plus 1,200 this year. Had we had a real year with less turmoil, he would have been. The way he runs is just incredible. Special teams coaches are crazy. I agree, Spooky. I don't. Spots are filling up. Spots are actually not filling up fast, but they are being vied for, making the spots in essence less available. Right. So yeah. Yeah. So we've got a lot of people here. Let me take a short, not break here, but just like, and we'll get back to some stuff so you can keep your questions and comments coming. But in this stream tonight, I kind of set up that this is just initial reactions and thoughts. We haven't had a chance to kind of sit down and take things. The big thing now is that the question of who's going to be the coordinators is answered. but now who's the rest of the staff? And I think some of that will start to take shape as time goes on. Hopefully by tomorrow morning when I'll try to do another stream again, and it'll be kind of tight. We're planning to travel this weekend, so I do think that I'll be able to stream each day. Don't quote me on that, but I do think it will be able to happen now that we're finally past the holidays and busyness. Let me address this. I want to be honest with you guys. Y'all have been I've already given y'all huge kudos for getting us to 600 subscribers almost, if not already. Being here and wanting the fact that a lot of y'all were checking in and checking on me. He's like, where's Kyle? That's honestly an honor, and I appreciate that. I have a day job, and so that why you didn't see me for 2 days. There wasn't a lot of news to talk about until today, like real news. I mean, there's rumors, obviously, always, and I know those are fun to talk about, but I like real news. But I have a day job. One day I'd like to not, I'd run this podcast and everything. I'd like to do, obviously, this, but the other stuff along with it full time. You guys can help out with that by obviously being here, and we're going to hopefully monetize these streams and this channel at some point, but joining the booster club, which I always will put here. I know some of y'all hate it when I do that, but businesses got to remind people. So I always encourage you, just go check it out. See if it's worth your time for as little as $1 a month. But if you want me to be more available and, have this as my day job, that's the way that you can help support that. So, Kevin says, I was wondering if you're going to grace us with your presence. You are too kind to say grace. Annoy y'all with my presence is probably the better term. I knew probably if this broke today, I was going to have to do something tonight for y'all because so many of y'all were like, say something, which is an honor, right? But, yeah, I was very honored that you guys wanted me to say something about this, even though I'm kind of just processing it all myself. All right, let me back up here and see what everybody was saying. Is there spot left for T? Oh, we already talked about that one. The O-line should be the scapegoat. Thomas, I 100% agree. And I love our offensive linemen. I don't like blaming players or coaches specifically, but it is the beginning and end of the problem for Auburn the past couple seasons. Was the offensive line. And that is priority number one that has to get fixed, right? And it's going to take more than one season to do that. I hope y'all are all ready to process that. You are going to be frustrated in 2021 because, A, the hype's already building. And when you're expecting this big, beautiful thing that happened in 2013 to happen, doesn't mean it won't. But don't just expect it. The offensive line as a unit is in shambles. Some of that is on Coach Malzahn. I'm a big Malzahn proponent, but I've always said the one mistake he made was hiring Herb Hand, because that messed us up and ruined his opportunity to continue as the Auburn head coach in the future. Mike says with Bo and Tank and an O-line with Harsin, he said, and Bobo, he says, I think 8 wins. I think 8 wins is possible. I predicted 7 wins, and I'm going to maintain that throughout the season unless I see certain things happen that make me feel a little bit more encouraged. So, yeah, I do think that 8 is attainable, and I do think it's actually would happen in my scenario where I said they had 7 wins, go to a bowl game, and in a kind of a smaller bowl game, they probably get the win because they'll be a much better program probably than who they play in that type of bowl game. Do you think Tank will transfer after not playing the bowl game? I believe the sitting out was more injury related than sitting out, from what I'm told. Do you see an initial plus or minus in recruiting going forward? Well, let's see. We're almost at the bottom of the SEC, and it's in a really bad place right now. So it's going to be a plus. And that's why I continue to caution people, because everything from where we were is going to feel a lot better. But don't build the height so much that when it comes crashing down to reality, and I don't mean back to where we are, but just to reality, that it's so disappointing that we all get on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and start lamenting about everything. By the way, there's a cute little baby in that picture, I just realized. Mike Bobo got 2022 5-star pocket passing QB named Gunnar Stockton assigned with the UCS. I hope he can bring him in for next year. I've heard some thought, and in fact, the source that I have says, I love the Twitter folks over there. My source was telling me that looks like a high likelihood. I won't guarantee it, but it looks like a high likelihood. CD, what's up, man? Appreciate you saying that you enjoy the content. Let's see here. In here to keep you. What's up, Hillbilly? You're always here to keep busting my chops, and I love it, man. See, here's the difference between Hillbilly and what we call trolls. Hillbilly's not a troll. Hillbilly just loves to have fun, and I appreciate that because he dishes it out because he can take it, and I'll dish it back to him because he dishes it out to me. It's just, it's all one big happy Auburn family, and that's why I love Hillbilly. One thing this whole process has done is bring excitement back to Auburn Family. Well, it's pretty hard or easy not to do that, right? After this season, it wasn't going to take a lot to bring excitement. Who do you think is going to have a breakout year for wide receiver? Well, anybody at this point, with Seth gone, with Elijah Stove gone, and Anthony Schwartz gone. The entire wide receiver name's gone. I was really high on Zevion Capers. Now I'm kind of concerned with this injury. Obviously, injuries aren't ultimate setbacks. You've seen lots of players come back from them, and case in point, Elijah Stove, but it took him forever to do it, and he had to play for like 20 seasons to actually compete. So I'd say Zevion Capers. I mean, obviously the popular name like right now is Canyon. I really think Shed Jackson is due for a breakout. I really think so. We got to work on this whole catching ball thing, and I know that seems obvious, but I think he could be electric with the ball in his hands. We just got to get it in there. Pumped on Derek Mason, but sell on Mike Bobo. It's a very common theme tonight. Definitely we would be good to keep T-Will and Caddy. They seem to fit the vision in the new direction. You know, I know we all think, that it seems to fit the vision of Coach Harsin, but does he think that? Because we can see the vision that he's laying out one way, but it could be a completely different. Some existential stuff right there. John, I appreciate that, buddy. I really appreciate those kind words. Look, our take here, my take here is to, and on our network for all our people that contribute. For those of you that don't know, we are a podcast network. You can find it on any podcast application out there. But we try to be informative as we can, but our vision of what we are is not we're not just trying to be the guys that break the news all the time. It's more a lot of reactionary stuff, but we'll break news when we have it. And we're just trying to interact with you, the Auburn family, because there's everybody out there trying to be the next big thing in Auburn sports reporting. That's not our scene, man. We're about the Auburn family. And obviously we're going to speculate and talk about news and rumors, but we're a little different. And I like it that way. I know Tank already said he's staying, but I think I was just addressing that question. War Productions is back. Let's see. Mason with the DBs with Smoke coming back, only good things. I mean, I think you obviously saw that the Mason effect already is in play with Smoke deciding to stay. I don't know if Zachaby McLean, I think that probably excited him to. I didn't know that really was an option for him to go. It was an option, obviously, but I don't know that it was a high likelihood. I think he needed to see just a solid hire, and he was going to announce he was staying. Let's see. Mason DC is a great hire. Bold prediction from Josh. Here we go. Everybody, buckle up. We will become established as a perennial top 7 recruiting class in the next 2 cycles. I can get on board with that. So here was my prediction recruiting-wise. We hit the top 15 this year. I think the second year, like you do with a lot of these programs that kind of do a little turnaround, and that second year is where you really see it switching in gear. You saw it with Ole Miss. You saw it with Georgia. You saw it with Tennessee. I would not be surprised if Auburn broke into the – appreciate that, Sniff yet. He just wanted me to say sniffed again. I would not be surprised if Auburn broke into the top 5 in year 2. Here's the thing, though. Can it be maintained past that? And that's the key, because year 1 is not the key for Brian Harsin. Year 2, not year 3. Year 4 is. If he can get by in year 4 and keep most of the Auburn fan base satisfied, he's doing really good. Derek Mason, a great defense at Stanford. So that's where, when I try to evaluate Derek Mason, it's a great point, War Productions, and we addressed this earlier. I try not to evaluate based on his Vanderbilt time, because it's Vanderbilt. It's where coaches go to die in their careers, I mean. So yeah, I do think him having a great defense out there, and the Pac-12 is known for great offenses, at least when he was there. So he had to play against Oregon State, Arizona State, at USC. So some good offenses out there. Who do you think will be a good wide receiver coach for Auburn? Cody Burns. I'm a huge Cody Burns fan, and I'm going to fight for him as much as I can. I just don't see it happen. I don't really have anybody on my radar at this point, but my sources give me a bunch of names I need to go research tonight, and I'm sure that that's in there. And so I'll kind of give you maybe that take tomorrow. Cedric would be amazing if he didn't have the brick hands. Appreciate it. Stereotypical Auburn fan loves watching and listening to the podcast. I'm behind, though. We probably already went over it. Yeah, look, that's the bad thing sometimes about coming on a live stream. You don't know what we missed, but that's why I kind of bounce around a lot. Do you think it might be a chance Auburn snags Gunnar Stockton from South Carolina commit? I think that is, if Auburn was going to have an opportunity, now is the time. My source seems to think so. Will they, though? Screw 4 years? Dan, I don't know if you've been here a while. I try to operate really heavy in the reality, because I've learned that when I don't operate in that forum, it can be very devastating for me emotionally. All right, I think we've hit most of the comments and stuff, so we're going to go ahead and say bye to the Twitter folks, but I appreciate y'all being here. We'll stay for a few more minutes for the YouTube folks, but I appreciate y'all being here, and War Eagle. All right, for those of you that might be new, and I know there are a bunch of you, we usually stay on here a few minutes longer for YouTube folks. It really didn't start as a reason why, but then there were more of you here, so that kind of became the reason why. And I always play the game now. People think I'm leaving, so they exit. So let's see how far the numbers drop down. But by the way, guys, we're at 213 people live streaming tonight. That is absolutely incredible. If you can do me a couple favors here, I'm going to cover my boilerplate stuff, and then we'll get back in your comments and questions before we wrap up. You can smash the like button. That's a huge, huge help to this. If you haven't, please subscribe and hit the notification bell, because you will not know if we go live. Usually, YouTube's a weird thing. Usually having both those things marked will help you figure out when we go live, and it'll actually tell you that we're live, so won't be able to miss it at that point. If you haven't checked out the podcast, find it on Apple Podcast, and I'll give you the link right now in case you want to go check it out after we're done here with the stream. And you can find our podcasts are about mostly sports stuff, but we cover anything and everything. Hey, we've covered tough topics. When all of the social justice stuff was going on, I brought on a new voice to share their opinion of it and my opinion, and we differ a little bit on it. And we had a honest and very serious and fun conversation about stuff that is happening in the world, but how it relates to Auburn as well. We talk about people's Auburn stories. A new Auburn Roots come out tomorrow that you'll want to check that out. But you can find all that, and then obviously heavy on the sports. But if it's Auburn, we talk about it here, so I hope that you'll subscribe and check out all the different shows we have. We even have a track and field show. It's kind of on, we're waiting for the season to get geared back up again, but it'll be back. The other thing that I've already kind of said a couple times, a lot of you have wondered where I've been. I have a day job, but if you want to help this become my day job, do what you're doing now. Be here and help us get monetized by subscribing, liking, all that good stuff. But you can even partner with us and be a supporter over at patreon.com/E2C Network, the E2C Network Booster Club, as little as $1 a month. And that goes a long way, believe it or not. You can get yourself some perks and help us produce this content. $1 a month gets you a lot for the perks that are over there. So at least go check it out if you haven't already. I do hope that you'll go do that. And that's all. That's the usual stuff that I have to share with you here. Let's cover some last minute comments and questions here as we kind of wrap up our night. Let's see. Back it up. Bo at QB never win more than 6 or 7 games. I think that's a little harsh, Hillbilly, but hey, that's your MO, right? Some people can be a great coordinator and a terrible head coach. I don't know which one you're referring to, Spooky. But yes, I agree with that statement. We got a good team. Now we ain't got a Bama team yet, but it's possible after a while we'll after all, we are a Bama people. I don't like that phrasing there, but I get what you're trying to say. How do you think Nix develops with Harsin? I don't think people want to hear this, but you're going to need to give him more than 1 year because this is his third offensive coordinator, his third scheme that he's going through. I really think Bo Nix in what would be his true senior year, but remember, everybody gets a pass this week. You're going to see a Bo Nix that's unrecognizable. I think. And honestly, it really has less to do with Harsin than it does with Bo Nix benefiting from what will hopefully be an improved offensive line. Bo Nix with a pocket consistently, because he had a pocket sometimes, but it wasn't that much of one, consistently is a much different quarterback. Just imagine it only be 212 if I wasn't here. And that's why I love you, Hillbilly. But see, it dropped when you said that. Any transfers that might could come. The 2022 quarterback is one that people are kind of hopeful on, and I would say there's a little bit of hope there. I don't want to put too much stock in it right now. I'm really interested to see what people from Boise come over Jackson. But right now, I think that's about it. Jeremiah says, we lost a lot of wide receivers. Where could Cam's brother play into the system if he stays? Because he was recruited by Coach Malzahn for probably a role that we never used him in. Can he find a role? Can Coach Harsin find a role? For an athlete like that, I would bet yes. We say always that we're going to be utilizing the tight ends. Maybe that's an area where he can be utilized. Jeff Schmedding, is that one of the coaching options there? Auburn One for Life. Thomas says, I'm not worried about who is at quarterback. Just give me an O-line. And I think that's the simplest way to pare this down and to make this more realistic is to talk about the offensive line. I honestly do. That's what fixes this whole mess that we're in right now. All right, guys, I do think I'm going to say goodnight to you here. We stayed on much longer than I thought I was going to tonight. I will hopefully be back with you in the morning, late morning sometime, to talk about maybe some more of this stuff as we have more time to process this. I guess this was more of a reaction, initial thoughts video, and we'll get into more of it tomorrow. Smash the like button on your way out if you enjoyed this. I appreciate you being here, and War Eagle.